Hello there. We're here to tell you that we have so much more to offer you now at our Mixed Tees store. Not just t-shirts and hoodies, but we do have plenty of those, and new designs for that matter. You can also get mugs, and of course our brand new limited Amber Turds stained blanket. That's right, just for your bed or wherever you need it. So head on over to Mixed Tees now and get all your apparel and goodies from Midnight's Edge.
Entertainment news today. You're such a dragon gay. Everything sucks and it's no good. That comes out of Hollywood. But there's one place you can go to get all your news and info, and maybe even have a laugh or two. You know it's true. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark. But MEAD never stops. We will keep going through the night as we keep up the culture fight. Midnight's Edge after dark is life. We stand for nerds and geeks, we will survive. From Star Wars to Jurassic Park, it's Midnight's Edge after dark.
Greetings, everybody! Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the program. I am Tom Connors. It is your favorite show on YouTube, whether you like it or not. Time for Midnight's Edge After Dark Live. We've got Brian here, aka that 70s rock fan. How you doing? At least until his wife calls him and tells him it's game time.
Until it's feeding time at the zoo here. Yeah,
At the
I'm
trough.
doing great. At the trough, yes. So, I'm doing great, mate. How are you?
Been better, been worse. Doing the best I can. I'm having one of those days where I'm reminded why I'm single, but that's about it. But I'm just not going to get any farther into it than that.
That's what she said.
Yeah, indeed. I envy that you're married at the same time. Yeah. No.
Well, there are pros and cons.
There's perks and valleys, peaks and valleys. As they say.
It's a wonderful institution, and it is an institution.
It is indeed. Speaking of institutes, I'm sure Nick's bouncing around in one right about now. How you doing, Nick?
Bouncing around. Doing pretty good, Tom. Happy to be hanging out with you and that 70s rock fan. A great video yesterday, by the way, for the Midnight's Edge channel on the Looney Tunes. That was a conclusion at the end that I did not see coming. I can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that and some other things tonight. Maybe we'll have some more people join us. We'll have to wait and see.
What, we're not people? You don't count us as people?
No, well,
We're
you
aliens.
leave because, as soon as your wife says it's time to come in and quit playing with your friends, you're like, okay, Ma.
Hey,
Yeah.
I'll do anything for food. Nothing like a bit of mutton, that's what I say.
That's true. So have you been watching the Daredevil business or no?
You mean the show?
Yeah.
I watched the first 3 episodes, yes.
I know Nick's been watching it.
Meh. It's meh.
Well, we got a little bit of news to talk about there. We got some Coyote versus Acme, as we talked about before. Yeah, we may talk a little bit about Bourne, Jason Bourne. I don't know if there's any
I
famous
just
out there.
checked
Was
the
that being
main
revived?
Midnight's Edge page, and there's a link with 14 people waiting for the show to start on
Indeed,
the
it
main
is
channel.
still set up there. Yeah.
Yeah,
It shouldn't be. I
I'll go let them. I'll go
but...
let them know. I'll go let
Yeah,
them know.
please do. I'll
that
have
please
Andre
come over
fucking
here.
delete it because StreamYard sucks ass.
Well, I don't know. I mean, just leave it there, and then the sense of anticipation for people.
Yeah,
In
so
that-
I'm doing it right now.
I see. Anyway, but yeah, so tell me more, Bourne. I didn't notice that. I mean, I've been too busy all day watching people posting pictures of empty theaters for Snow White and watching the Steam numbers for Assassin's Creed to care about anything else.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess we can start here since this is kind of a smaller bit of news, but interesting just the same. It's kind of funny because I just recently watched all the Bourne films like last year for the first time. I mean, I seen the first one and the second one years ago, and after the second one, I'm just like, whatever.
Did
And
you
I never
watch
came
the
back to 'em.
last one?
I've seen them all now. Yeah,
Right,
I just
okay.
watched them all last year. Yeah,
The one just called Jason Bourne,
yeah, I didn't
which
care for
was
it as much.
terrible movie.
Never saw
Yeah.
it. It doesn't
Terrible
exist.
movie. Yeah. Not good.
So anyway, it looks like the rights are up and they're being shopped around as they leave Universal. Be interesting to see who winds up with them. My guess is it'll probably be like Apple, Netflix, or Amazon because they'll probably want to do this as a series instead of a film. I'm assuming. But no, I was kind of surprised by this. But Jason Bourne is emptying out his safety deposit box on the Universal lot. WME is shopping the rights to the Spy franchise and the rest of the Robert Ludlum library on behalf of the state's author's estate. So he writes books.
He does write books, isn't that weird?
Yes.
So,
What a
many of them,
coinky-dink.
I think some of them have been made into movies quite some time ago.
So they're
Like-
movies based on books.
Books, Osterman Weekend. I seem to remember the Osterman Weekend.
I like books.
Weekend at Osterman's.
So yeah, the goal is to find a new home for the franchise and make the Super Spy a more regular presence on screen, as I said, probably more likely as a TV show.
God.
Bourne last appeared nearly a decade ago, and Jason Bourne. It has been that long already. Holy shit!
Yeah.
2016. Yeah.
Yeah. Who
I
does-
remember. Oh, go ahead. Seth.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead, man.
Okay.
You go.
I remember when they announced the Jason Bourne movie after they announced the Bourne Legacy with Jeremy Renner. I was just like, why are we doing this? And I actually like the. No, I've never.
I was
read
gonna
the
say
books.
that one wasn't
No,
as
I
bad.
like it. I liked it. I did say I never watched it. I was satisfied with the trilogy of Ultimatum, Supremacy, and Identity.
Yeah,
I
they're
saw
great.
those movies, and to me that was a trilogy. And to me, it made no sense to continue after that. And then they brought in Renner, and like as much as I like Renner, I didn't see the point of doing that one.
It
and
works.
I never saw it.
It works in a sense of it actually should have been like a streaming series or a TV show. As a movie, you're kind of going, okay. Because what it's about is it's like another agent who's dealing with stuff at the same exact time as Bourne is in one of the first three films. I can't remember which
What
one.
takes place in the timeline of those is what you're telling me?
It does, yeah.
It
So
does.
like what
Really?
they should have
Okay.
done is done it, like I said, done it as a series, like a spin-off series instead. Because as a movie, you're kind of going like, this has so little to do with Jason Bourne.
See, that's the part
It's
that
only
bugged
like
me.
tangentially connected in a way, but yeah.
Is Jeremy Renner is his name last name Bourne in this or no?
No,
No, he's
Renner's
another
not Bourne.
agent.
He's
So
another
that's-
agent.
See, that's kind of like dumb. Like you might as well just call.
But
it
his
something
case
else.
does have something to do with what Bourne is doing. Like I said, I can't remember. Do
It
you
wasn't
remember?
bad. I can't remember.
It wasn't
the-
bad. No.
It was okay. It was better than the last one. But
Yes,
we all,
much better than the
much
last
better,
one.
yeah. We
Well,
all
that
know the best
endorsement.
Jason Bourne was Richard Chamberlain, of course.
Was he really a Bourne before this one?
Yeah, 1988. You know, the 1988
really?
TV miniseries. Yeah,
I guess I forgot all about that.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's not
Or never even
difficult to
was aware
forget
of it. One
about
of the
it.
two. Yeah.
Not difficult to forget about it, but
I
Yeah.
don't doubt that the Renner movie is better than the last Damon one because I saw that one. That to me just screamed desperation. But the thing is does the Renner hold up to the original trilogy? That's the
not
real
exactly.
comparison.
No, but like I said, if it would have been its own series or like its own TV series, I think it would have been fine. But it
Okay.
just kind of feels like an also ran now because, like I said, I can't remember if it takes place during part 2 or 3 or the events in between or something like that. I can't remember, but
no, I can't remember.
it does tie into the other Bourne films, but it's like a different agent doing something that, you know, has to do with the other stuff, but he doesn't cross over with Jason at any point.
I mean, I know Bourne's featured in it. Jason Bourne, as in Matt Damon, is featured in it in photographs.
Yeah, but they don't actually cross over.
And I think it's at the same. It's parallel to the Bourne Ultimatum, I think. So it's in the same
for some reason
time.
Yeah, would that be the third one?
Yeah, I think it's parallel to the third one. It's parallel to the third one, I think. Yeah.
Okay, I saw all three in the theaters when they came out. I was a pretty big fan at the time they came out.
I wasn't old enough to see. That's probably true. Well, depends on how late in the 80s it was. But Matt Damon. Who would you guys like to see as a Bourne, like, take over the role? Like, who do you think could pull it off?
Well, Shooty Natwa, or whatever that Doctor Who guy was.
You're tempting fate, you know.
But that's exactly what's going to happen. You know it.
Now it will, because you fucking put it out there.
I put it out there.
It's like Rule 32 or whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
If I'm gonna go with an unknown. I know it's an easy answer, but to me, it's like, in general, I'm not really inherently interested in this. I think it's done its piece. But if we really can't help ourselves and make more of this, go for an unknown. I mean, you're banking off the name of the franchise anyway, and the smaller the name, obviously, you still want to have a good actor. You can see that actor as Jason Bourne and not the actor first.
See, that's the problem. Is when I think of Jason Bourne now, I think of Matt Damon. So
that's fair.
You know, I'm trying to go against that grain, but you got to find somebody who's younger, because I see a lot of people saying, like, you know, Tom Hardy and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Jason Statham. Yeah, but these guys are all way too old. They're all, half of them are probably older than Matt Damon.
Statham's way too English as well.
Statham is only too English, but I like it when he's in retarded action movies. I don't want him to be drenched in shit that has story. I like when he does big retard movies that are fun and engaging.
Nick's got a point, because the last Expendable movie was the one where he got bulk of the story, and it sucks.
Yeah, once he gets too story oriented, his quality of his movies going down. The less story there is, the better they are.
I think Davina's got the right idea. Sydney Sweeney.
You know what? If they're going to do a race swap, a gender swap, not a race swap. Sorry.
I could live with that one, though.
As long as it's not Sydney Sweeney and Madam Web, though.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, they're clearly not. If they do it as a TV series, they probably won't get some huge actor. How old is Scott Eastwood now? Is he getting too old?
He's not that old. I mean, he's olderish, but he ain't that
40-ish.
old. That's why, once again, I think that kind of just says, hey, right there, man, let's get an unknown, especially if you're going to go for a series. That would really benefit. That would be a great way.
Jack Quaid wouldn't be bad either. Is he a little? How old is he?
50 something.
No way.
No, no, hold on. No, I know it. Sorry, I mistook him for Douglas Quaid. Jack Quaid, that guy from The Boys. Oh, dude, he does not have the muscle to that. He looks like
I don't see Bourne as a muscle-bound guy, right? Like that's kind of the point. Isn't it? Is that Bourne isn't necessarily a muscle-bound guy, but he knows how to fight.
No, he's got some
smarts. You look at
like I said, my problem is I see Matt Damon, so
I think
Hemsworth. I could go with Liam Hemsworth.
Liam, maybe it'll probably
if he can sound American. Yeah,
it'll end up as Pedro Pascal. We all know it will.
Well, isn't kind of the whole point of him is he's supposed to be unassuming? Like that's what I mean by you don't want somebody who's too big. Like the guy who plays Rachel.
I think Nick's right. It should be an unknown or a near unknown. If they're going to do it, make it more about the show than about the star.
Yeah,
but I mean,
seriously, dude, go for the unknown, man. That's a great way to make a star out of somebody.
I just don't think another movie would work though. So it will be TV.
No, I just here's the thing. I don't think there's an interest because. One, Legacy didn't do as hot as the trilogy. And then you look at when they got desperate and brought Matt Damon back for Jason Bourne, it didn't do any better. And it seems like that stain still hasn't worn off people.
Bale is older than Matt Damon, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I could possibly see, could have at one point
Action
maybe seen Taylor
you just
Kitsch maybe at one point, but Taylor Kitsch at one point might have
Years
might be
ago,
good,
yeah.
yeah. But
Ah,
Yeah, so that's
very
more in
expensive.
lines what I'm thinking. Like, I mean, even Aaron Taylor Johnson would be too old and British now, too, or big.
yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of somebody who would be, because like I said, isn't he supposed to be a little bit unassuming? Like, you don't necessarily assume that he's this big guy who can fight, but he's
Fine.
got the.
All right,
Look,
then
get a-
Peter
get a guy who's
Dinklage.
smart
Peter
and got the
Dinklage.
Peter
fighting
Dinklage,
talk.
you're right.
Peter
Oh,
Dinklage.
Dinky! Let's make midgets great again. Sweet.
I'm Jason Bourne.
But it's not
Nine
just
Times.
Bourne. I mean, as they say, Robert
Times.
Ludlum has a lot of other books in his books, including stuff he wrote under pen names. So there's possibly a lot of material to be mined out of those, the spy action stuff. So, yeah, could be.
Well,
be
we'll
other
have to wait
stuff
and
there.
see what they come up with. Yeah, if anybody picks it up anyway. I'm sure somebody will. I'm sure Apple, Netflix, or Amazon are probably drooling over it. Tim Hayes has been a member for 41 months. Thank you for that. Jason Webster says, I like the Bourne Identity miniseries. You know what? I might have to check this out now that it keeps coming up. Dark King says, it'll be the Bourne Identity with a gender swap. Well, we were kind of joking about that.
Yeah.
Born Identity.
I mean, I've only seen it once, but the Richard Chamberlain one was okay for TV. I mean, it was okay as far as I
Richard
remember.
Simmons was Jason Bourne?
Yeah, Richard
What?
Chamberlain.
Oh, I thought you said Richard Simmons.
Why would I
I was
say
like, what
Richard
the hell?
Simmons?
Richard
Yeah,
Simmons.
but perhaps you heard Richard Simmons because that's who you're thinking of.
Hello, everybody. Let's get the identities going.
That's who's in your dreams, Nick.
Flowing.
He's in your dreams.
Oh, man.
Move
Now I
those
actually
legs.
want to see
Move
that.
those
Now,
legs.
That's it. I
Kick,
want it.
Kick,
Richard Simmons.
punch, kick,
That's right.
punch, duck, dodge, kick, punch. Let's get some music going here. Just take those old records off the shelf. Yeah, we're straight to the old.
Seriously, now this has to be a thing, please. I want a Richard Simmons Jason
Simpsons
Bourne
Jason
show.
Bourne.
Let's
Oh my God, I
go.
broke a fingernail. Holy shit.
Jason Bourne
I don't know
again.
how this should have gone.
Jason
David
Bourne.
Letterman's his partner.
It would be Jason Bourne to be alive. That's the song was Jason Bourne.
Jason Bourne to be
alive.
wild would be the sequel. We're born to be wild. Sweat to the oldies, sweat to the oldies, sweat to the oldies.
But
sweat
I'm
to the
seriously
oldies.
worried about Nick that he's thinking of Richard Simmons all the time. I'm worried about him.
It's raining men.
Oh, man. Can you imagine that song being in a Bourne movie or show? Bro.
Amen.
Bourne
I
is
want it.
working undercover as a dance instructor.
Yeah,
I want
so
this movie now.
Uh,
we'll have to see what comes of
a
this.
yoga place.
Uh,
Anyway, yeah,
So-
there's a lot of other material. It's not just Bourne, so
Yeah.
that could be.
Does he have other
many-
book series where it's like a similar kind of not same characters, but
they're
I mean where
all-
it's like running characters or whatever?
Yeah, the Paul Jansen stuff. They're all spy,
Oh, they're all spy oriented.
action spy stuff. Yeah, and espionage stuff. Yeah,
Well, maybe you could build a world around Bourne with some of that stuff. You never
because
know.
the Jansen character's an ex-Navy SEAL, similar kind of kick-ass military skills. Blah blah blah. Although I think there is a movie set up for that already, or has been mooted before. The Paul Jansen character. John, it's in fact just looking it up. Yeah,
Yeah, it doesn't
John
say there's
Cena's
any
name.
exclusions or anything,
John
but it
Cena's
says
name was being cast around for that one, and there's the Chancellor stuff that he wrote. It says here Leonardo DiCaprio is up for one of those. So yeah, there's a bunch of different characters, but they're all quite similar in a sense. So.
very much like a Bourne.
But if it's
type.
done well, that's what people want.
All right, well, we'll have to wait and see what they come up with here. In other news, let's see here. You guys have seen some of the Daredevil show. I haven't watched much of it. I
Yes.
watched bits and pieces of it.
Uh-huh.
Now we knew some of this, but basically Bernthal is now confirming a lot of what we had heard. And you found this interesting too, Nick, about
Yes.
how Bernthal confirmed he initially turned down Daredevil Born Again because he disagreed with Disney's plans for the Punisher. What they wanted from Frank would not appeal to the fans, according to him. So I don't know. what you wanted to say about this necessarily, but he says, I had the pleasure of meeting John Bernthal today, wrote Silas. Got to talk to him about Daredevil Born Again. He told me he hated what they were doing with Daredevil before the whole rewrite, and he actually turned down the project, but now that Karen is back, amongst other things, he's back in.
So I'm of two minds of this. And it sounds like, I heard Bernthal say this type of statement similarly years back. And at the time, I initially agree with it. I said, okay, that all sounds good now, but what happens when push comes to shove? And it looks like push did come to shove. So and it seems like he stuck to his guns. But my only concern is, from what I watched of the 4th episode, which he is in, there's an issue with the episode. As much as I mostly liked it, there's one problem with the show, and it's not having to do anything with this character now, but I worry it still might have something to do with it later on. So I don't know if we're going to get a watered down version of what they were originally going to do, or are we just getting a bunch of misplaced pieces from what was considered the old show being chopped up into this new show?
Well, I think
if that's a case, we definitely have a bit of a Frankenstein's monster with this show.
Well, speaking of Frankensteinian messes, Andre is the first one to point out, or at least the one that I remember pointing out, that as admirable as it is that Bernthal has, his standards for the character, we have to remember as Punisher fans that when he says this stuff, he's talking more about the police and military than he is the specific character.
Yes.
So there's probably things that will happen, or he will allow that, like, normally fans of the character wouldn't like. I mean, the hardcore fans like Andre, and I wish Scribelight was here because he's a big fan of him too, or Razor Fist and some of the other guys. They'll be the first to tell you. Like, even Andre will tell you what's wrong with that that short that everybody loves with Thomas Jane, the Dirty Laundry one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says it's great except for the fundamental flaw at the end, and that is that the Punisher would never, ever put, the choice in somebody else's hands. That's the whole reason he does what he does, is so nobody else has to make that choice. So there is no blood on anybody else's hands. So, that's the thing, is as long as you get the fundamental idea of what the Punisher is all about, then you're fine. And I haven't seen the show all the way through. I've seen like bits and pieces of the first 3 episodes, enough to get an idea. Now, Brian, you said you've seen the first 3 episodes. Nick, you've seen the first 4, I assume?
Yes.
So, Brian, why don't you give us your feelings so far? Yeah.
It was okay. I mean, I think it's a little bit of an anticlimax compared to the original Netflix seasons, if I could put it that way. It's a little bit anticlimactic. I think I found it a little bit meh in places. There's some feelings in hallways. I mean, it was okay, is the best I could say. I think it was okay. And I will watch the rest of it, but it just wasn't grabbing me that much at times. Kind of felt myself drifting off. I don't know. I'm not as au fait with the comic lore either, so Nick's probably got more to say about that. But it was fine. A couple of good bits. Charlie Cox is great, but that's all I can say about it. It was okay.
Yeah, well, you've seen one more episode than I have, or Brian has, Nick. So what's your feelings now that we've gotten, basically, because this is what we've been hearing for a bit, and I think it's true, that majority of the first 3 episodes was original stuff that they shot back when.
Yeah.
Especially considering the White Tiger character, the actor actually died in the meantime since they shot it. And the only thing I think that was really added as far as new stuff was Foggy being added in and some other bits. So now that you're to the 4th episode where we're supposed to be with almost all completely new reshot stuff, how do you feel the show has changed, or do you feel a change, or is it shaping up differently? What's your feeling so far?
I don't actually. It's a little too early for me to tell if I do feel a change. I think I'll have to have the season finish up before I make that decision. Now, do I have some different feelings towards certain aspects of the show for better and worse? Absolutely. I personally have not had a problem with the Kingpin angle they're going with. And by the time we got to the end of this particular episode, I thought it was a really great send-off for his character for Kingpin. Not in terms of like, no, he's done for, he's dead or anything, but in terms of the way his character, where he ends by the episode's end. I thought that was cool. It kind of makes me see what he's doing in a new light. So from the episodes earlier on. So a little bit of recontextualization going on. I thought the Punisher stuff was actually shockingly really good. But however, the weirdest part about how good the discussion between Matt Murdock and Punisher was, it was following up not only the worst scene in this show, but probably one of the worst scenes I've seen in all of the MCU ever. And I mean all of it. There's one scene. I'll just say, for those in chat, I want to give away too much in case someone does care, but I'll just say the jail scene. That jail scene pissed me off. It takes a lot for me to lose my shit about that on a stream. Last night when I was talking with Mark D with the C and Price of Reason about it, I actually did lose my shit because of that scene, that jail scene. I could not believe that something like that passed. So it makes me wonder, and this is something, we entertain between me, Price, and Mark. Was this episode originally written by someone else and they had a writer come in to just reassemble the pieces of what the original writer wrote? Or was the writer of this episode the same one to begin with, and he just happens to have very polarizing ideas that are equally awesome and equally frustrating? So it's a weird episode because if I had taken out the jail scene, we'll just say that. If I had taken the jail scene, I'd probably give it like a 7.5 out of 10. But I actually ended up, because of that scene, it brought it down almost 2 points for me. So I'm probably around 5.5. And I was the least generous of the scores between me, Mark, and Price. Price, I think, and Mark gave around 6.5. I was around 5.5 for this episode. And that's because that one scene was that bad that it brought it down enough for me. It's, it's kind of like when you have a bad grade. It's easy to maintain a good grade. But once you have that bad grade, once you start getting bad grades, you slide down very easily. And that's what that episode did. It was taking a C plus episode, and it brought it down to an F for me.
Mm. I've heard people. I've definitely heard you talking about that. And so that's why I haven't watched the 4th episode yet.
No, it for the other stuff, it's worth the watch, but it also makes it show you how frustrating this watch is because you see those glimmers of greatness shine through. It's very frustrating. It's still too early to tell if it's this is a brand new episode. I do like that we're finally seeing Matt deal with the death of Foggy. I thought that was good. No, I've heard, once again, through the grapevine, nothing to prove. And it seems like with the show, we've heard a lot of things through the grapevine with conflicting merits. Apparently, the show's supposed to be like a long game, like that Andor show, which I didn't really watch. And if that's the case, bro, this second half better be loaded with action. Because granted, I was entertained by some of the exposition, but you better bounce that shit up by the second half because you can't have this much exposition, even when it's good exposition. Sometimes too much of a good thing is still too much, and that is definitely the problem. And I was one of the people who had no problem with a courtroom drama filled episode because I always said, we only got moments of that in the show. We didn't get like a full episode dedicated. We finally got that, but now that we got it's kind of like okay, I got my Thanksgiving fix. Let's move on now. And we didn't really move on. We were talking more. Even if it was good, it's still frustrating because it's just more of it when we don't need it.
Daredevil... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Nick, would you say this scene you're talking about, and I've heard about it.
The jail scene?
Is it a sign of a strong progressive messaging in the show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude. And I'm not joking. You thought You Gotta Do Better, Senator from Sam Wilson was bad? Dude, this shit takes it to another level. It is the type of shit that encourages, let's just say, I'm going to be vague referencing. I'm sorry, but to me, it's just my best way of getting the spoiler across. It's the type of mentality that paves the way for stores in California being allowed to steal up to $900 worth of shit without consequence.
Yes, I was thinking that.
It's that type of mentality. And And it's because that's in this episode, that's surrounded by, let's just say, better exposition. It sticks out. It's like a scab I can't stop picking at.
It's inserted for that very reason. Yeah, because it appears that it doesn't really forward any plot of any kind.
It out.
Yeah.
You could have taken that whole scene out. It would have not been affected by the episode. It would not affect it. Even though there's one moment of an entertaining bit where Matt Murdock makes some smooth talk to a lady, and it's like, yeah, okay, I get it. Matt Murdock's got game. It was fun. It was cool. It was cool to see him be that guy. But once again, we still didn't need that scene, even for that one sliver of goodness in that jail scene. We did not need that shit at all. It should have been left at the cutting floor or cutting room floor. I'm sorry. You get my point.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. When I think about that scene, it frustrates me.
But it's true. It only takes a few minutes to spoil the whole thing. Like, a little bit of a worm in the hole, and the rest of the apple might be good, but you bite that worm
on
in
that
half.
note, I mean, this came out from Screen Rant today, and this kind of goes along with what some of the things people have been observing, and it's like there are clear parallels between MCU's Mayor Fisk and President Trump, and I guess, and I know that this storyline is based on a comic book that actually predates Trump, but of course, don't let that get in the way of them still trying, right?
Yeah.
Coincidence helps. They can at least stand behind it then. But anyhow, it says they both believe they're the good guys. Both were shot in the head face, targeting specific groups of people, spouses who've distanced themselves. Both have towers, tactics to remove rivals, similar political slogans, dedicated base of support. Both were political outsiders, both convicted felons. Now, here's the problem I have with this. This is what I've been telling people from the start. You guys got to remember, when I say that they're doing a Trump allegory, and other people are saying that sometimes, what they're getting at is it's not what you or I or what a normal person would think of Trump. It's what somebody with TDS thinks of Trump.
Yeah, this is there to be confirmation for someone who has TDS, because if you really want to break this down,
much like Mark Ruffalo in Mickey 17,
yeah, Wilson Fisk has always thought he was the good guy in a lot of scenarios since day one. And when he got shot in the face, that was 3 years before, what happened to Donald Trump. He's always targeted specific groups of people to further his own needs. And he has had on again, off again stuff with Vanessa as well. And there have been times where she's taken over his business so he can try to turn over a new leaf as well. So a lot of those things he's had since way before TDS, way before Donald Trump ran for office.
I think we must bear in mind the allegations that Screen Rant sucks knobs.
Oh, yeah.
That's just an allegation, of course.
Well, I think Gary Neurotic said best. Out of 1 to 10, how Trumpian is it? I look at something, let's just say Homelander and the Boys, that to me is like a 10. This to me...
Oh, that's a 10, yeah.
Right.
This to me is like a 2
at
best.
You guys got to remember, it's how they view him. It's how they're trying to perceive the situation.
And that's the thing. I think that's something both sides of the conversation are missing. They're not seeing it for what it just simply is. They're seeing it for what they want for their beliefs to be confirmed on.
Well, my point is that my point is that the MCU leaned into it, right? Like that's what I said to Razorfist when he pointed out.
Yeah.
The deal. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't mean they didn't lean into it and deliberately try to draw those parallels, right? Like that's the thing is, people forget and they're like, oh, but that's not Trump. It's like, yeah, to you.
Yeah.
But take any other major polarizing political figure of the last 100 years and do it.
They're all pretty much the same in that respect.
I mean,
but like,
yeah,
it's no different than when the Penguin ran for mayor, right? Like you could draw all sorts of parallels too if you wanted to there.
Yeah.
Right. You could say the same thing for Biden or Bush or Trump.
It's an opinion.
It doesn't matter.
Piece.
They're all.
It's an opinion piece, and that's something I think a lot of people forget to extreme at. It's an opinion piece run by a company who's gonna say stuff like that because it confirms how they feel.
Well, the problem is it is probably more or less confirming what Disney told them. See, that's the other problem here. Is like. It's more of a confirmation bias in a sort of way that, like I was saying, they're doing it on purpose. It's not like there just happens to be fucking parallels, right? Like, I get it. There may be parallels to somebody who hates Trump to that 2015 comic that this is supposedly based on. But my point is, Disney and the people behind this put that in there on purpose. In fact, we're going to probably cover a story tomorrow morning about how bad Disney is just trying to shove DEI back into everything again because they just have not got the fucking message. I mean, there's a lot more context to that.
Yeah, but I mean, it's got people talking, so we're talking about it. So maybe it's just clickbait, you know?
It could very well be.
Clickbait. Once again, a lot of those things have happened verifiably. Could you say some things do absolutely lie? Could they have thought about it, intended for it? But if you watch a show without seeing that ad or not think about it, it's not something that's very obvious. I think the most obvious thing was in the first episode with the blue hats, which was the Fisk and Fix It. And that was a very split-second moment. And it was blue hats, which is really weird considering that's the color, let's just say, of the other side.
Yeah, but it makes it less
weird.
It makes it
kind of weird that they went for that color. It's like,
and I'm not against that.
What was the point of that? Like, even I was weirded out by that. I was like, hold up. What the hell kind of conflicting? And then Kingpin also ran on in the first episode. He was trying to lean into the anti-gun stance with the Punisher. That was what made it weirder and conflicting too, because that's like he's at that gun-toting vigilante. I was like, what? And also, it seemed like New York City wouldn't celebrate that type of. Let's just say Fisk actually was really ran for election. They wouldn't fucking celebrate his election. They'd probably be rioting in the streets. That shit was a fucking party in the comics and in the show. They were acting like it was like the next revolution that he won. Yeah,
but you got to also see it, and I don't know if this is where you're going, Brian, and I'm sorry because I know you're trying to say something, but you got to remember they're also seeing it as like these people that are enjoying Fisk being mayor or whatever, is that they're the same people who are Trumpians who are, you know, bamboozled, and he's really going to fuck them over in some way, right? Like that's what these people see him as, and that's, you know, it's like that's what I'm getting at, is putting the modernization to it. Like even the whole Bush Palpatine thing, like that Golf brought up here, this was George Lucas's fault. He said this like a dumb shit, and I said the same thing at the time, even though I was very anti-Bush. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? The upside of Star Wars was you were commenting on a war that was from years and years and years ago. It wasn't until you got to Return of the Jedi where you were kind of commenting on the Vietnam War, right? But that was still, 10, 15 years out of the, way already, at least close to 10.
I mean, I'm not against all exclude. I mean, the hat thing, for instance, it's been proven that such a thing has been a major marketing factor, if you like, for Trump, the red hat, the MAGA hat thing. So I'm not against having an allegory about that in a show, because it's a successful tactic for a politician to use if it catches on. So there's nothing wrong with reflecting that, because lots of other powerful politicians would do such a thing. So I think it would be going too far to say that there's something like that shouldn't be referenced in a kind of a cheeky way.
Well, once again, I feel like the thing is, if you're going in looking for it, you're gonna see it. The more you go in and see it for what it is, you're gonna go. It's really gonna depend on what you make of your viewing experience. If your viewing experience is to make Wilson Fisk into Trump, well, yeah, you're gonna see the parallels. And yeah, some are very accurate to recent years, but also there's a lot that predate this shit factually by decades as well. So I don't know what to tell you. I mean, once again, go put on The Boys. Go put on the latest season. I stopped watching. I heard it got worse with Homelander's character, but go watch that and then go watch this. And then
I stopped watching after season 2. Couldn't stand it anymore.
I can imagine it's a night and day experience. Yeah, could you say maybe it was intended still? It was still intended for a show? Maybe. Do I care? Honestly, no, because it's such a loose thing. Once again, it's like a 1 or 2 out of 10 for me. But if you're spending your time looking for it, you're gonna find what you look for. If you're not spending your time looking for that and trying to see it as a show with a guy who's trying to become a politician, believing that as reform, well, then that's the experience you're going to get out of it too. It's what you make of it. Unless it becomes something like The Boys, well, you don't have to try to look for it. It will find you.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's see what the audience is saying. We got Soul Nightmare, who says, I don't treat R&B's words as gospel, but I know he has a genuine industry connection, so if he says he's heard Superman is really good, I trust him over scoopers any day, even the positive ones. Well, I've heard mixed in a lot of different places from it, so it'll be interesting to see what it actually is when we finally get a chance to check it out. Jason Webster says, I love The Punisher Dirty Laundry short film in which Thomas Jane reprised his role of Frank Castle in The Punisher. Yeah, I don't know if you heard earlier, I was talking about that. It's cool, but the problem is the ending with it. And Andre's explained it many a times, and I brought it up earlier. But other than that, yeah, it's kind of neat that it does exist and that Thomas Jane got behind it and all that business. But speaking of get behind things, you are interested in this thing called the Ballerina, Nick. It's got John Wick in it. You wanted to talk a little bit about it since we got a new trailer.
I thought he was interested in actual ballerinas.
Well,
like from the movie Top Secret.
Too.
From the movie Top Secret, perhaps.
Oh, God. I watched the trailer. Are you going to put it on or no?
I watched it too.
I don't know if I'm going to get claimed by them.
Yeah, that's
Skip
fine.
I'll just jump through it.
Skip it. Just skip it.
But John Wick is in it.
Yeah, it takes place, I think, between 2 and 3 of the John Wick series.
Oh, is it? I didn't know that. So it's set
slightly
back in our timeline.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, earlier in the timeline. It wasn't like he survived, and they may as well should have done that, though, because of how prominent it is in this movie. It's got to make it feel like he was in this movie all along. That's for certain. No.
Is he, though? I've heard mixed things. I've heard he's in it a little bit, and then I've heard he's not even in it for more than a few minutes. It's like
for this trailer, he feels pretty prominent, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
he feels pretty prominent, which I don't mind. No, I've seen the common complaint I've seen in this show is that it's female Wick. I don't disagree with that. If that's the criticism, I don't disagree with that. But once again, you're talking about me watching someone shoot the shit out of bad guys.
Yeah.
And that's literally what it looks like, even if it is just female Wick. I think it'll be fine. I'm looking forward to it. I think it has potential to be entertaining. I actually believe that. Now, I could come out of it being like, oh, fuck, this movie ended up sucking. But going out this trailer, I enjoyed it, even if it is just simply female Wick.
I love the trailer. I mean, I didn't. Other than I've watched it a few times, and I'm not trying to dig deep meaning or make any other comparisons out of it to anything else. I just thought it looked like a kick-ass trailer, and I enjoyed it. And even if Keanu's only in it for a few minutes, well, so what? Because it's not really about him. So it looked okay to me. I mean, it's a great supporting cast in it, and it, I'm looking forward to it so far. I don't mind that it's I mean, Anna de Armas is pretty good, so she was the best thing out in that last Bond, only good thing out of the last Bond movie. So I'm kind of hopeful for it. Looks all right to me, and to see Lance oh god, my mind's just gone blank.
The actor that just passed away.
Yes.
Yeah,
I was just about to say Lance Reddick. It is Lance Reddick, isn't it?
No, is
Lance
it?
Reddick,
No.
yes. For some reason, I was going to say Lance Henriksen. Lance Reddick, yes.
Yeah, it's cool to
Lance
see him again.
Reddick. It's great to see him one more time. But yeah, it looks good to me. It looks like it could be fun. And what I want is to switch most of my frontal lobes off and just watch some kick-ass action.
Or small game.
Large.
Yeah, I'm not.
She just walked in.
He's in there for a second, but I can't find him here. Skimming through.
Oh no, he's in it. He's definitely in it.
He's in it, I know, but I'm not finding him for some reason.
She goes into the Continental. That's way before this.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought it was near the beginning.
And I was intrigued by the John Wick as antagonist.
There it is. Yeah.
As opposed to protagonist.
And then, of course, we also got Ian McShane.
Yeah.
So, looks good. If there's some slick action and kick-ass stuff going on, brilliant.
All right. Let's see what you guys are saying out there. We got Kalechi Oki, setting in 5 and says, this is why you leave politics out of modern media. Nobody in Hollywood has the talent to write something political charged without pissing off the other side. Well, yeah, other than Matt and Trey, they're the only ones who seem to know how to look at it from every damn angle and not, shove their opinion down your throat, basically. There's not many other than them that I trust with that kind of shit anymore.
You can look at a movie like They Live, and if you know where it's based from, you can see the parallels. But if you don't know, it's not as obvious when it screams out at you. You can even probably interpret it to the way modern politics has become now, where I feel like the movie's definitely aged more, where it's become more of a documentary. But yeah, if you're someone who comes from the timeline of what John Carpenter was influenced by for that movie, yeah, you can definitely see the angle. But is it a very increasingly obvious angle? I wouldn't say so. I feel like there's other properties where it's definitely been very, very obvious. But that one to me doesn't really scream out as that.
The interesting thing about a masterful filmmaker like John Carpenter is he can make, who's very much himself politically on the left.
Oh,
he
yeah.
Can make a movie called They Live, and everything that was in They Live, and everybody agrees with what's going. Everybody agrees with the sentiments and what's presented in it. He managed to get both sides to agree with it, not piss both sides off or one side off.
Don't forget who his frequent collaborating partner was. 70s. Who was his collaborating partner?
Kurt
Russell, and he stated himself, "Yeah, we don't agree, but we have fun working together. We talk it out sometimes about it, and then we have fun making our movies after." And that's a genuine friendship between those two dudes.
It's a pretty good skill to make a movie so full of political allegories, and yet everybody loves it. They Live, I'm talking about, and everyone goes, "Yeah, that's exactly right. That's what's going on." Doesn't matter where they're coming from. They go, "Yeah, that's right. We get it." They can't do that now. Nobody seems to be able to do that.
They don't know how to. And even older comics. Now, the whole comics is always political as an objective lie. No, were there comics that at times were political? Yeah, sure. But at times is not the same as always. And the times you did, whether it was some of the X-Men stories or even the Green Arrow, Green Lantern, you can find really well-balanced messaging in those stories, and you can still be very entertained by it, and they definitely do leave you with something to think about, especially the Green Arrow, Green Lantern one, because Green Arrow comes off more like 20th century liberal with Hal Jordan. He seems more like a right winger, and it's great. And you see them too, that even though they disagree on a lot of shit, at the end of the day, they still have to work together because they're both heroes. And saving people doesn't have a political leaning.
Well, the last time we kind of were like this was like in the late 60s, early 70s, and we got, you had movies like Dirty Harry, which were, accused of being a right-winger's wet dream. And because of that, John Milius wrote the sequel as the left's view on what Dirty Harry is and cops and all that stuff. So, you had a lot of that kind of stuff. It was actually happening, and that's just one example of many, but it just wasn't the same, I don't think. I mean, yeah, the critics seen it the same way. There was a lot of turmoil and upheaval in American politics and social politics, but this is just a totally different thing in a way. It's like nefarious. There's something about it that just feels dirty and unclean and untrue.
Dirty Harry?
Yeah.
Oh.
And on the note of the Ballerina, Jason Webster says, "I love the South Korean action film, also entitled Ballerina."
Yes,
when I looked this one up,
great
I have
movie.
to dig through that one first, but yeah.
Brilliant movie, yeah. I mean, and I was, if anyone wants to check out my Korean movie and TV reviews, I have a large playlist of them on my channel.
Yes, Brian is
he plugged
into that. Yeah.
Just released one today about a movie called The Firefighters, the Korean movie that I've reviewed. So, good movie, Ballerina, Korean one, very good.
Let's talk about the big news of yesterday. This dropped just as we were closing out the show, and we're trying to get a video done about it. And let me tell you, that video, I don't know how well it's doing, but a lot of the comments, first of all, I got to clear something up. Not that many people here listening probably need to hear this, but man, there's so many people who I can't believe they have TD or ZDS so bad and WBDS so bad that they are blaming Warner Brothers for the day the Earth blew up. And it's like, They got fuck all to do with it. They
not
sold it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's not theirs.
No. And something's going on with Ketchup Entertainment where they must have found some kind of profit in this fucking bomb, because now they're looking at possibly buying The Day the Earth Blew Up for $50 million, which I think is like 20 more million than what they paid for the last one. And they're even buying into exclusive rights to use the characters for like advertising and such. And I'm imagining it also may include things like merchandise and whatnot.
Well,
so
I
this
think
is kind of an interesting turn of events, but yeah.
The Day the Earth Blew Up was produced by Warner, though, wasn't it? It was just distributed by Ketchup.
Yeah, they were both produced by Warner, but Warner was going to shelve them, but they gave,
Ketchup has come in and said we can find a release for these.
Well, what I found out so far, anyways, what they're doing is they're keeping it in theaters. They're trying to until May 26th when it comes out on Blu-ray. But it's also being staggered in other countries. It's only been released in a couple of countries outside the U.S. And I guess some places aren't even seeing it till fall. And they're talking to the same thing with this one, that this movie's not going to come out until next year now, even though it's done. So I think that's their plan, is they have like this thing where they'll keep the movie in theaters for so long and they'll roll it out throughout the countries. But I think I don't think they're really seeing the through the trees here, unless there's some scam that we're not seeing, because this fucker got online before the movie even came out. Not the Coyote and Acme one, but the Porky Pig and Daffy one. So like that thing leaked online like a couple weeks before the movie even came out, in a very good copy. And then it played so poorly this weekend. I guess there was enough theaters that through the demand, or people called, or that since people didn't even know it came out, that there is some theaters that are saying they're going to hang on to it this weekend in hopes that some people might show up now that they're aware that it's out there. Because as you were pointing out, like Ketchup Entertainment did fuck all for advertising on this thing. Like none,
zero. But then that's probably because they've not got a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. There's got to be some other kind of scam with this involved where like, what are they doing?
Ketchup hasn't, I mean, I know they produce some stuff and they distribute stuff, but I mean, they've produced some stuff that's lost a lot of money.
Exactly. That's what I'm looking at their
Like
shit yesterday, and I'm going, what the fuck is the scam here?
Hypnotic lost a fortune. I'm not sure.
They did that last Hellboy movie too, and
Ferrari may have made some money. I'm not sure. I mean,
I don't think so. I think Ferrari was another one I was looking at that like they spent a shit ton on. Yeah, but they spent like way more than I think it made in the box office.
But they're not exactly making a lot of money, I don't think. But has this got anything to do with Looney Tunes being dropped from HBO and then ending up on Tubi?
That is a coincidence, actually.
Complete coincidence. Okay, I wonder.
Yeah,
that's the first
but
thing
people are using that as a way to make Zaslav and Warner Brothers look bad, like they're, yeah, it's like, I get it. The timing is really coincidental, you know.
There's some jokes popping up in the chat about Ketchup. Yeah.
Yeah, Ketchup, that's a dumb name.
Buttons Inc.
Fuck.
But all the Looney Tunes names are going to come out now. Yeah,
but I mean, hey, if they can find a niche with this audience, I just don't know if there's that much of an audience there. And this is coming from somebody who's a diehard Looney Tune fan. Like,
I grew up on that shit.
My kid was raised on them too. So, like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with you on that, Tom. As much as I grew up on Looney Tunes, I feel like the gap was left too spread out between when they last were doing stuff. What was it, like over a decade between? I think it was like a Looney Tunes series and then the Space Jam unnecessary sequel, and then you have the Space Jam, the Space Jam 2, which is an even wider gap. They have not really taken the time to take the property serious. If you're to put out something with Looney Tunes, I mean, personally, if it were up to me, I would just can't.
Well,
but if you're gonna keep it going, I think maybe a bunch of shorts, like 6 to 8 minute shorts on it, would be good. And considering we have attention spans that are boiled down to TikTok shorts, well, this could be very beneficial for the show's sake in that regard, right? And then if you garner enough of an audience, then do a movie after that. But you gotta garner that type of audience. It's clear that you have skipped a few generations with this property.
It's a shame.
So it's not the younger generation's fault. They had other things that they were.
Well, it wasn't for lack of trying. It's just, I think that there was just something about them. Because they clicked for a while, because Looney Tunes got a resurgence in the 80s and 90s. And that's where I became a big fan.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was a big deal. I remember that.
You know, the Nike ads, which led into Space Jam, which also was a big part of it. But that was kind of like the peak of it all. But before that, you even had like the urban dress, you know, like the urban shirts where they would have like all the Looney Tunes dressed in like urban gangsta wear and all that kind of stuff. Those were, everybody had one of those shirts.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
oh yeah.
And I mean, they were kind of making comeback. They had a few shorts they did. They did even did a Looney Tunes movie in theaters, which was Quackbusters, which was just like their older films, like the 1001 Bunny Tales and all those, the Roadrunner movie and all that stuff, where it was new stuff mixed in with old stuff. So they weren't actual movies, but they were kind of, you know what I mean? Like, so we had those things that were kind of keeping them alive, but Back in Action came at a weird time. It was a little late. It felt like it was like 3 years too long after Space Jam, even though it initially was a sequel to Space Jam. It didn't end up becoming a sequel to Space Jam because the short version of this, so people who don't know this, after Space Jam was a huge fucking hit, they were going to make either Skate Jam, Ice Jam, you name it, whatever fucking sport you could think of. Yes, that they could shove in, like Wayne Gretzky, I think, was going to be in Ice Jam if they could get that rolling. You had Tony Hawk, who was going to be in Skate Jam. And the other one was Spy Jam, which was going to have Jackie Chan in it. But Spy Jam fell apart. But what happened is they repurposed that script for Looney Tunes Back in Action. That's where all that spy shit comes in. Now, I feel like if they had just let Joe Dante come in and just doing a completely original from head to toe Looney Tunes movie, it probably would have been the greatest Looney Tunes movie of all time. Because there are some moments of brilliance in Back in Action.
Yeah. You can't have Ketchup Entertainment involved with anything to do with jam, though. Those are two different substances.
Yes, they don't mesh well.
Well, and alack, I'll have to leave you guys alone. Just the two of you.
Oh, you and your food talk.
Very intimately. You guys can get intimate
really
now. I'm going. Now I'm leaving the room. It'll be just you two guys together.
Good. I can show my loyalty to Tom that you can't.
Oh, I'm loyal to Tom. Just, not as loyal as you, obviously.
Yeah, you abandoned him for other meat.
Yeah, you've proven that you deserve to be with Tom, not me.
Well, we're almost done here anyway, so thank you for being here, Brian. Take care.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, as I say, check my channel out. Anyone that's not a subscriber, I did release a video today about a Korean movie called The Firefighters. Ooh. And you will see me on various things over the next few days. Ooh. Bourbon Boarding Saturday night, my channel and Brahma Bull's channel, the only hockey show that we know of in our area of YouTube. So see you guys later.
Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
But yeah, so like you're right. Like it took too long, and they did have other series like Duck Dodgers though, and the Tweety Sylvester Mysteries. I think were the two biggest shows in the eras between that. Yeah, and then they did try to revamp Looney Tunes a couple of different times. They had that crazy like futuristic version of them, and then they had the one where they were all like living in the house like friends and shit. That was like one of the more latter ones here. But none of them really seemed to click with anybody. And I think you're right. Like outside of like the exception, like my kid who just like adored the Looney Tunes growing up, like I just don't think many kids were like him, you know. and I think you're right, and because by the time Space Jam 2 came out, if there was an interest, regardless of how bad the movie was, I think people would have tuned into it, and we know how bad it turned out. So yeah, I think you're on point there, and Andre kind of makes the same point in that there's this big gap. Looney Tunes are more of an adult entertainment now. And like Kalekioki says here in the chat, and he's not wrong, Looney Tunes are edgy. Modern LT are not edgy. That's the problem. They have really, really softened the edges of the Looney Tunes. Like any of them that have any kind of like speech impediment are almost completely non-existent anymore, or they've changed them enough to where they don't have the same kind of speech impediments usually. Like Daffy being one of the few exceptions anymore. Like, I don't even know if Porky even stutters all that much anymore. Like, they've even gone that far with certain things. They've taken away Elmer's guns and shit. McClucky also wants more racist and dark humor jokes. Well, there's plenty of classic Looney Tunes for that. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if your kids are really into Looney Tunes or not. But
they've been into the very few bits that I've shown them, but it's also like, one of those things where it's a generational thing where they didn't have a new thing of it to like for them to latch onto, because once again they skipped all these generations, and my kids are proof of that. But to be fair, I don't feel like my kids are the best example, because they're both into, I guess you could say, unique things. Like a lot of their friends, like let's just say for example music, a lot of friends are into Taylor Swift, but they actually both don't like Taylor Swift at all. They like more like Japanese type of pop. And even though I'm not really a fan of it per se, I do like that they are looking outside the box over what's just put in front of them. Like my youngest, now they both used to be into Disney princesses, but now that they've gotten older, Arya's like she's into drawing and she's into wolves and animals, and the youngest one. The only Disney thing she really latches onto is Stitch. That's about it. That's other than that.
Well, that's going to be huge, and they just
and
dropped
you
a
know
clip
that.
for
Oh, I
that.
know it's going to be gigantic. So, and I know she's going to want to see that.
I thought that wasn't coming out till later. I guess it comes out.
It's
in
like
May
June or
something.
July.
No, it comes out in May.
Oh, May. Well, oh goodness. Okay, I got
Memorial Day weekend. It looks like May 23rd.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to dominate till fucking Superman comes out. You watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even then, it still might come back.
Yeah, and you know, and I
out.
think that's been an interesting thing with the Stitch thing, because if you remember Lilo and Stitch when it came out in 2002, it did fairly well. It wasn't like Spider-Man huge, but it was a really strong outing for an original property at the time. And then obviously you had the straight-to-video sequel followed by a show that had 2 seasons, and it seemed like the character got bigger over time. So I don't know how, because oddly enough, there really wasn't much put out after 05 or 06, which is season 2 of the TV show. So somewhere in that gap, somehow a bunch of kids, little youngins got into it. And now, when I go walk by the park, I'll see a bunch of, little girls in Stitch shirts. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. I thought something like that would have skipped a generation or two, but something happened, man. I guess a lot of parents must be maybe younger parents, and they're like, hey, watch this movie. I don't know what it is, but
it was huge on video besides in theaters. Like, yeah.
Oh,
like
yeah, that's true, too.
The DVDs of those sold like hot cakes.
Yeah. I remember that. It passed down. Maybe that was what passed it down a generation, that the parents at that time were showing their kids, and then those kids became parents and now they're showing their kids. That could be a thing. Whereas the Looney Tunes.
It also had a long-running TV show, like 2 or 3 sequels.
Yeah, I remember. It was a straight-to-video sequel, and
the show and the sequels all ran together, so it wasn't like they were, like
it was in continuity.
The show was set up perfectly, since there was 626 experiments, and a bunch of them got loose. That was the whole setup for the show. It was like, oh, that's brilliant. You got these guys going out and finding all the experiments, obviously, and each one had their own little unique little thing. And I remember for a while there, they even had people that were like keeping track of all the experiments. It was kind of cool, but that's what I mean. It has its own little fan base already. So like it definitely grew over the years beyond being as popular as it was to begin with. Let's see what Jason Webster's talking about here. He says, I love the South Korean action film, The Villainous. Never heard of that one. Motorcycle chase in that film inspired and is superior to the one in John Wick 3. Well, there you go. Jason Webster says the female lead of The Villainous is Kim Ok-veen. I'm sure I fucked that up. Should be in John Wick 5. She is a great actress and highly trained in Hapkido and Taekwondo. Well, there's not going to be a technical John Wick 5 because, as John Wick himself, Keanu Reeves, just said in an interview, he's dead. So there is going to be a prequel, animated prequel, though, I guess, is what they're working on next for John, besides the spin-off stuff here and there. So, yeah. But, I wouldn't get too... Unless it's like some other kind of thing they work out, but I think John Wick is live action. John Wick films are over, but we'll see. Unless they do they might do like prequel young John Wick and then recast him, but I don't know. Kalekioki says they neutered my man's Pepe Le Pew. Looney Tunes can't be Looney Tunes. Oh yeah, you're right. They neutered a lot of them, unfortunately. That was one of the best bits in Looney Tunes Back in Action, is when you had all the canceled Looney Tunes sitting at the same table in the cafeteria. That was great. But anyhow, with that, Nick, what do you got going on later? You going to be on TNT?
I'll probably be on there for a little bit. If they're going to have it be dominated by Snow White, right? Otherwise, I'll talk about Daredevil, because I actually found a great article from the showrunner himself about it. So I think it's going to answer some interesting questions about the Fisk storyline. So I'll talk about it then. But I'll be on there. Other than that, chat, I got Klobby's Comic Shop tomorrow night. Toxic Tuesday next week, we're talking The Beekeeper. And of course, I'll be talking Born Again episodes 5 and 6 next week as well, the following night. Also, in my videos column, I did a video on 5 comics you should read before or after watching Born Again. So if you intend to watch it, never watch it. It's a great video for you. It's a nice 60-minute video. I went full YouTuber for it, Tom. I went full YouTuber for it. I haven't done that in a while, right? I went full YouTuber. So you should watch it in the chat, and it's great. I'm happy that the video turned out great. So go watch it. It's fun. It'll hold you over till TNT starts. Hell, you can watch it twice before TNT starts, so you can jot your notes down. But yeah, that's all I got coming my way. Thanks for having me. It's good discussion to have. And I hope the chat has a great night in case I don't see them later.
All right. And in case you didn't say it, you can, of course, find TNT over on Comics Division channel, and you can find Nick's stuff over on Nick's channel. SFX F314 Sabretooth Raptor sends in 10 and says, I can't do that, Bob. I am programmed by ACME Iridium PU36. Okay, I'm going to do this better. I can't do that, Bob. I'm programmed by Acme Iridium PU36 Space Modulator. Can't obfuscate the truth. Epic will eat our lunch and dinner. IPUs are failing. Sorry. Please, Dave. No, Bob. The truth must be said. No. It was like Marvin the Martian mixed with
oh, I love Marvin.
A little bit.
I couldn't tell if you're Marvin the Martian who got in an orgy with Jordan Peterson or what.
Kind of. It did go a little Jordan Peterson there.
It did. It did get a little Jordan Peterson.
Well, they are very similar.
Yeah, they are a little bit similar. No, that was good. No, that was similar shit to each other. That's for sure.
Yeah, Marvin the Martian and Hal 9000 had a kid. Yeah. I am so angry right now.
That makes me most of the Looney Tunes. Angry.
Yeah, I can do most of the Looney Tunes.
Oh man, I you know that's a good idea. I'm gonna watch some OG Looney Tunes.
Yeah, what's up, Jack? What's cooking? What's up, Jack? You're despicable.
You're despicable.
That's all, folks. Hello, I'm Alan Fudd. I say, son, you're not doing that right. Fluffer and Fluckatash. Do you need some more?
I'll take more. I'll always take more. Mimi.
Andale,
oh, dude. Speedy Gonzalez.
Can't do Tweety because Tweety they pitch him up for, but he basically just talks like a little baby. And then they pitch it up just a little bit. Yeah, Tweety's tough. Tweety is tough. Taz is probably the easiest. Blah, blah, blah. Why did you put me in the cold?
Dude, I can't imagine you pulling off a Tweety.
Tweety. I saw a putty tat. I did. I saw a putty tat. Sylvester is one of the easier ones. It's just, you stick your tongue out and you get it in the way of everything. That's pretty much Sylvester there. Then there's Wile E. Coyote, super genius. Yes, when he did talk. But anyhow, Soul Nightmare says, also DC Japan Twitter says there's a Superman announcement later tonight or early tomorrow, though it's probably nothing big. Yeah, I wonder if it's just something like the Super Bowl thing was here, probably.
Yeah.
That'd be my guess. Yep. And then there's Pepe Le Pew. No. And of course, there's Yosemite Sam.
I was going to say, can you do Gossamer?
Gossamer.
Do you remember Gossamer? He was that big red furry thing with that was.
Did he even make did he even make noise? He's just more like
that was the whole joke. That was the whole joke of it because he doesn't.
I was gonna
speak.
say, yeah.
Yeah, Gossamer doesn't speak.
He doesn't roar even, does he?
No.
He gets his hair done.
Yeah. That was the whole joke.
Yeah, pretty much. All right, kids. See you later. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time. Bye.